Beautiful afternoon. Going on another dad walk. Just me to try not to be fat anymore, but also try to let go of the day, think about everything, and yeah, talk to you guys about it. See what you guys think. So, what do you want to talk about? I do have some stuff to talk about. I discussed it a little bit. Hadn't posted the video, but by the time you see this video, I will have posted it. So, we did buy a car, and hadn't sold my truck yet, but we bought a four-wheeler. And about 2 weeks into the four-wheeler, I'm telling my kids, my oldest boy, be careful, this thing will hurt you. Drive careful, this thing will hurt you. Well, yeah, you guessed it. Somebody got hurt. So this week, on Tuesday, got a phone call Tuesday afternoon. My oldest boy was riding my second son around, acting crazy, doing donuts, and he flipped the four-wheeler. Four-wheeler came down. My son that was driving, that was acting a little crazy, fell off the four-wheeler when it flipped. He's fine. My other son, who was a passenger on the four-wheeler, broke his femur in half. So we took him to the ER and ended up at our children's hospital, and he had to have surgery and have a rod placed down his femur to connect his femur back together. So, what do we learn from this? What is it? Don't buy your kids four-wheelers? I don't think that's it. I do believe, y'all hear that? I love the frogs. Look, let's turn this around so you can. It's the pond. Frogs are hollering. It's that time of day. So, I believe, and one of the reasons I bought the four-wheeler, I knew at some point with these boys somebody was going to get hurt, but you got to let them live. You got to let your kids experience things. If you don't, they'll never learn anything. And a lot of times when they're in the process of experiencing things, they tend to act a little crazy, and people get hurt. Sometimes they get hurt. You hope it's not fatal or lifelong. But yeah, you gotta let them, I feel you gotta let your kids experience things. I felt they were ready. If he wouldn't been acting like an idiot with his brother on the back, they probably would have been fine. But this is something I think is going to build their character, both of them. My oldest son learned that his decisions can hurt others really bad, and that he needs to be careful. And I would rather it be on a, well, I wouldn't really rather it anything, but better on a four-wheeler going and a femur get broken than in a car and somebody getting killed. So I hope he has learned this lesson. I hope that years in the future we're not making a video that's any worse. I hope they learn their lesson. Yeah, but I believe you got to give your kids enough rope. You got to give your kids enough rope to hang themselves. They got to experience things, man. I felt terrible. My wife felt terrible. I felt terrible. But if you just keep them locked up in their rooms until they're old enough to leave, they're going to leave and they're going to be naive. They're not going to know anything. They're not going to know how to do anything. They're not going to understand how things work. So you got to let the reins loose a little bit. You got to let them go a little bit. You got to let them experience things on their own terms and hope that what you taught them stays with them, that they listen. This time, he didn't. Next time, I hope he does. I think my whole family probably learned, not probably, my whole family learned something from this ordeal. So, anyway, that's kind of where we're at. So, my son just got out of the hospital. We brought him home. Today is Sunday. We brought him home Thursday night. I'm fat and out of shape. It's really, I'm breathing so heavy. Something else I'm trying to fix. I think I talked a little bit about that in my first dad walk. About wanting to be around for my kids. Not only around, but healthy, where I can do things with them. So, but yeah, so you gotta let them experience things. If you guys keep them cooped up and you don't encourage them to get out and experience things and drive and ride and shoot and do these things, they're not going to know how to do these things. Cook. So that's something else. And I'll probably end up making a video about this too. So another thing that's scary for parents is allowing their kids to cook. And I believe that you need to teach your kids how to cook. If you're not around, something happens, you can't be around, they need to be able to fend for themselves. So we got here comes a loud truck. Live in the country. So cooking. We got an air fryer, which is really cool. You just put food in it, set it for the time, and it cooks really easy. But my 7-year-old can cook her chicken nuggets in the air fryer. She can also cook ramen in the microwave. My 9-year-old daughter, 10-year-old son, and can cook eggs on the stove. We have a gas stove, it's not electric. But they can cook on the stove. They can cook eggs on the stove, and so, you know, they're learning at a young age. But I think it's important that you teach your kids how to do things. At a young age. They're capable. And I think that may be kind of the deal. A lot of people, parents, need to quit saying people because I'm talking to parents. A lot of parents think that their children are not capable of doing certain things. Now, they ain't gonna do it like you do it, but they are capable at super young ages of accomplishing tasks, cleaning, chores. We started giving our kids chores as early as 5. They had chores. And you know, they need to know how things work. The boys need to know how to wash their clothes, dry their clothes, fold them, put them up. They need to know how to cook. Just this life stuff, man. The four-wheeler. Like, not that they have to learn how to drive a four-wheeler, but I don't think it's a bad idea for them to learn how to drive a ATV. One day that may be their transportation and they need to be able to jump on it and know how it works. Is it a risk? Absolutely. It's a risk. You may happen like me. You may buy your kid an ATV and they jump on it and they don't listen to you. They act like an idiot. They hurt themselves or someone else. It's a possibility. But they have to learn. You have to allow them to learn. And if some of my friends see this video, that I have a friend that, nah, I ain't gonna talk about that. I can't talk about that right now. But yeah, so you gotta teach your kids how to do things. You gotta allow them to make mistakes. You gotta allow them to do things even though they don't do it your way. So that they can learn how things work, learn what to do when things don't go right. And if you don't teach them this at a young age, they're going to be behind. Kids are so much more capable than parents think that they are. They can do so much if you just allow them to do it and fail and do it again and fail and do it again until they get it right. It's not going to be done the way you want it done, but they have to learn. If you want capable kids. If you don't want capable kids, don't do anything. Lock them in the room and take care of them the rest of their life. That's the alternative, I guess. Because you don't teach them anything, they get out to the real world and things happen and they try to find a safe spot and there ain't one. There ain't no safe spot in the real world. They become victims. I don't want my children to be victims. Don't really want them to be heroes necessarily, but a dang sure don't want them to be victims. I want them to know what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and not be overtaken by fear when something unusual happens. And that's only going to come by giving them the confidence, by allowing them to do things, fail at those things, make mistakes, pick themselves back up again, do it again until they get it right. And you can start that super early. You can start that at 5 years old. Just doing simple stuff. They need to be able to take care of themselves as early as possible. Not that you're not there to guide them, but if you're not there for some reason, they need to be able to take care of themselves. You're failing them as a parent if you don't teach them these things. All right, guys. Talk to you soon.